We're just here with our guest. We're here at the Opinionated podcast, and our guest, please introduce yourself.
I'm Chris Schroder, and I'm recently the author of Headscape, a book
It's
that's subtitled How a Bald Guy Replanted His Hair and Restarted His Life.
What bald guy? Who's the bald guy?
I know. When bald people see me now, they're like, dude, you have no idea what it's like to be bald. And I'm like, no. I know what it's like to be bald. I was bald for 30 years.
30 years.
Totally bald. I had a little bit of hair. I had like Caesar. I had a little wreath around my head here. That's all I had.
Wow. Oh, man.
So I had great hair in 7th grade. My best hair day was in 7th grade. And then I started to lose it in more ways than one.
Wow. Okay. Tell me.
That's crazy.
Do me a
Listen,
favor.
I can understand where you're going.
Oh, here you go with your internet. Yeah, it's bad internet. I guess I'll keep talking. No, that's not you. That's him.
Well, here. Yeah. I should use my stew.
Oh, Chris, you still there? I think we lost Chris too. No, I see you now. Okay, are you there, Chris?
I'm sorry. I had a slower router. I apologize. Do we need to start over?
No. I'm gonna cut all this out.
Okay, good. I'm here for better internet now.
Okay, good. I'm here. They're going to be back. They have pretty slow internet. So, boom, 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so how was it in 7th grade? I just want you to describe the best hair day of your life and the decline of which.
Well, I'd been elected a class officer, and so they took a photograph for the annual, and my hair was just, I got up that morning, shampooed, wore coat and tie. It just swooped over. It came down in a beautiful little curl, went across my head. It was full. It was awesome. I thought, man, I'm going to have this hair the rest of my life.
But in 7th grade, I think that wouldn't even be a thought. You know what I mean? Like you're like,
I know.
The sky's the limit at that point.
Then they took a photograph in the 8th grade, and I compared the two recently, and I had a widow's peak starting to go. I was starting to lose hair already in 8th grade. So by the time I got married, when I was actually 22, one of my buddies at my wedding, this was 3 weeks after the worst nuclear reactor in U.S. history at 3 Mile Island. So in front of the whole wedding party, my buddy comes up, grabs that little tuft of hair that was on the end of my head that was left when I was 22 years old, and he goes, "Hey, look, everybody, it's 2 Mile Island."
Oh,
so it was just like, so I got married, and then my first wife, she just watched as my hair just disappeared.
Wow.
It's like bait and switch.
Right, because when she married you, everything was all good. But you know what? And that's a lot of things. I think that's a thing that a lot of men struggle with regardless. And it's not talked about the way that I would like it to be talked about. I mean, I got hair. I'm going to just show you real quick.
I need awesome hair. Great.
Yeah, I got hair.
Why do you wear a hat? You should show that baby off.
Well, I need a haircut. It doesn't look great. Look, we lost our guys again. So it doesn't look great, but I got hair. But you know what happens over time? I'm 38. The hairline creeps back, and it gets a little, and you start kind of doubting yourself as a man. If that makes any sense, you kind of start losing that confidence that you once had. And that's the thing that I feel like we should talk about as men,
Yeah. Well, that's what happened to me. And I didn't really talk about it back then. Although my mother did. She took me to the dermatologist, and, he looked it over and said, "Nope, this is classic male pattern baldness. You're going to be bald soon." So I'm like, oh no. Wow. So I was just really insecure as I watched it go away. And I did, what I did next? I did the comb over. So I kind of did the comb over, and I hid it for a little while, but then it started separating, and the wind would blow, I'd get in the water, and you could tell I had a comb over. And so that wasn't going to last long. You know that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It made me feel insecure. You wear clothes over most of your body, and then all they look at is your face. Mm. And on top of your face is a frame of hair, usually when you're growing up. And so, it's like, this is what they look at, your head. And if part of your head just starts to disappear, I mean, you start to get a little insecure about it. I just felt like a part of me was leaving. I felt like a tree that was dying from the top. It's crazy.
Did that run in your family?
My brothers, the older they are, the more hair they had. It just seemed unfair. My dad had hair. My great grandfather had hair. One of my grandfathers did not have hair. So I guess I should blame it on him, but he's on the dad's side, which they say, it's usually the mother's dad. That's what you check. But you know what? It really is an old wives' tale. They figured out a couple of decades ago what causes male pattern baldness has very little to do with genetics, other than the fact that the hair on top of your head has DNA in it, and the hair on the side of your head has different DNA. And so the hair on top of your head reacts to testosterone in a guy's body, and it starts to dry out the root balls, and the follicles start to shrink and dry and fall out. But on the side of the head, you see guys all the time with like little Caesar thing, like I used to look at, and it's because the DNA here, that won't fall out because it has the DNA that resists the testosterone causing the chemical reaction that kicked the hair off the head. So what the doctors figured out 20 years ago, rather than trying to do plugs and move it around and put a they figured out logically, if you move this hair up here, it may not fall out, and in fact, it never falls out.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
You hear that, Kev?
Yeah.
One question. Just
you didn't get rid of that hair on the side of your head, did you?
He shaved
it grows in all the time.
He shaved it though.
I shave it because it'll grow in. This will grow in nice and full, and then I got this like a dirt bike went across the top.
He'll get the wheezy.
So you guys, you weren't here for Chris's story, but Kevin, do me a favor. Can you share your story on how your hair first started falling out and how you felt?
Okay, well,
if you don't mind.
Yeah, I was going to tell the story regardless. So I had my hair. I was getting my hair cut every week, brushing my hair, this jet black hair. So one time I got my hair cut, and my mother says to me, she looks at my hair, is like, hey, the barber is pushing your hairline back. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is the same haircut I get every time. She's like, no, I think the barber messed your hairline up. I said, no, that's where my hairline is at. So I'm not paying her no attention. So I say, you know what? To prove her wrong, I'm going to grow my hair out. So I proceeded to grow my hair out, let it get longer and everything. I'm 6'4", so nobody can see on top of my head. I can't either. So one day, as my hair is growing out, I go to Home Depot and I walk past a mirror, one of them tall mirrors. And as I'm walking by it, I look in the mirror and I can see my scalp, but hair there. I'm like, it's like it's gone. It's like it's boneless. I got people joke say you have a boneless afro. Your afro had no structure to it. So I'm like, I'm losing my hair. So
it's embarrassing. You in the store, you're not even home to notice it. You out and about, you had to stop, go back to the mirror. Like, wait a minute, what the hell?
So I noticed this. So I'm like, I gotta go home and I gotta cut this off because this makes no sense. As I'm cutting my hair off, I am like I'm stressed, like I'm going through this emotionless. I'm like, I'm losing my youth because I'm losing my hair. It's like my hair is everything. I'm cutting it off. I'm getting all emotional about it and everything. And I would have dreams for weeks that I had my hair.
It's like Samson. The story of Samson. It was all the strength was all in his long hair.
Yes.
So when the girlfriend cut the hair, things started going downhill for him.
Yes. It was pain. I mean, it was painful. It was emotional. It was like I would literally have dreams of me like having my hair and I'm brushing my hair and I see my hair in its fullness, and then I would wake up bald. Like,
wow,
where did my hair go? Like it's been like I'm used to it now, but at the first couple of years, man, it took something. It took me getting used to not having any hair on top of my head. It was stressful.
A lot of
medical. I think what I heard you say was that your mom said something to you.
Yeah.
See, my mom said something to me. My guy friends, they never said anything. They would look at me And then what was worse is the girls would look at me and their eyes would kind of go up, and like I was like, oh no, don't look up there. My eyes are down here.
Don't look up there.
But my mom said, dude, you're losing your hair. Come on, we gotta go to the doctor. Like, oh no.
You know what? But she took just to go over what Chris was saying. He started to notice it, like the differences between like when you were in 8th grade and you just recently. So it started pretty early. I think that caused maybe for your mom to point that out at that early age, because it's like, okay, something's definitely different and something we should really be worried about here. And maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just hair. But it was worth her going to the dermatologist and taking a look and seeing what's going on.
Well, it actually relieved me because I thought I had done something wrong. I thought maybe I was scratching my head or, using the wrong shampoo. I thought maybe I was causing it. So when I went to the doctor, he said, nope, this is male pattern baldness. He looked at it, with a close-up magnifying glass. And he's like, no, the pores are natural. It's just, it's genetic. That's what they used to say. But so all this happened as I was 3 decades. It would just keep going and going and going and going. And so the funny thing was my marriage after 13 years started kind of falling apart. And as when we were separated and getting divorced, my soon to be ex-wife was dating all these guys that she used to know in college, and they all had big old heads of hair. Every one of them. So then one time she met this one guy, and I heard they were getting serious. And this woman who had met them at an event, she came back and she said, I saw your wife and her new dude. I was like, so what does he look like? Because this was before Facebook. It's like, oh, he's just a suit or something, but he's got great hair. I was like,
oh my gosh.
Why they keep digging the knife in deeper?
They don't understand how painful it is to not have. These guys would joke on me when I first lost my hair. It was like the running joke of me being bald is like every Mr. Clean joke you can think of. I could see my face in your head. Every joke you can think of me being bald, it was like, yo, you guys, I'm laughing, but deep down inside, these guys are really hurting my feelings. It hurt my feelings at the beginning. I'm used to it now. At the beginning, I'm like, you did. I just can't think of some of the jokes you told then.
I dated this one woman for a couple of years after I got divorced. And I was on the phone one day trying to meet this guy I hadn't met before. We're going to meet for lunch. He was like, so how am I going to recognize you? I'm like, oh, I'm 6'1", I'm balding. And she started laughing. I'm like, what? What are you laughing about? And she said, sweetie, you aren't balding. You are bald.
Yo, these women.
Yeah.
One day we were walking down the street in Athens, Georgia, and the sun was behind us, it was casting a shadow on the sidewalk. And I had this perfect cone head. I was like, I looked on the sidewalk. I'm like, look, you're dating a cone head. Oh my God. But then, I noticed after I dated a few years, I noticed a very strange thing. When I would finally, get invited to these ladies' homes, I'd walk in their home and I'd look at their family pictures, and their dads didn't have hair. So they were the women who liked me the most. Usually, when I found out their dads didn't have hair, they grew up in a household with a dad who was bald, and they were naturally attracted to that. It was really, really strange.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Well, they say every woman grows up to marry their father.
Yeah.
Super weird.
That's
something not
but I'm not
something
along
like
that lines. Like my fiance I'm with now, she always says, "Hey, you're like my dad. Her dad's bald." And I'm bald.
I'm like your dad. How?
As long as it ain't too weird.
What I find interesting is, and I said this the other day, I said, how is it that scientists can put us on the moon, but they can't track that baldness gene, or as we discussed earlier, this trait, rather than a gene, that trait how come they can't isolate that? There's not a cream you could put on, and hey, guess what? In a couple of weeks, hair regrows. It's till it's full length, and you can just cut it and do everything how can we do one but not do the other? You know what I mean? Like from inception, rather than going and getting procedures, which we'll get into later on.
Oh, there are a lot of doctors who will sell you, or a lot of people who will sell you stuff that they'll tell you will grow your hair. But that's what, so that I finally met a woman who's now my wife. And I was kind of looking forward to getting back to, when we were dating, getting back to her house. I met her dad and he had a head of hair. I'm like, this girl likes me for who I am, because I was a cue ball practically. And so we got married. We lived together for, 12, 13 years. I was walking down to the barber down the street from her house, and the barber kept telling me, say, dude, you've got all this hair right here. You need to be one of my special clients. I fly people like you over to Istanbul, Turkey, and we move the hair from here up here. And he says, you'll have a whole new head of hair. It'll be your hair. It'll look totally natural, and you'll look 20 years younger. And I was like, wow, come on. That's crazy. I'm getting too old for that. That's crazy. But he kept saying it. And one time, after 13 years of marriage, when I was as long as my last one lasts, so I knew my expiration date was coming. And so I went home and I told my wife, I said, the barber again mentioned, moving the hair, going to Istanbul, Turkey. And she said, that might be interesting. I'm like, what? Oh. She said, I've never seen you with hair. I kind of wonder what it would look like. So I had lunch with my buddies to kind of give them the rundown. And I'm like, why are you going to do this? And I kind of made a little joke. I said, oh, well, my wife said, for her big birthday coming up, the one thing she wanted to do was she wanted to make love to a guy with a full head of hair. So one of my buddies quickly said, give her my number. I was like, no. I got this. I'm going to go to Istanbul, Turkey, move my hair. I'm going to come back with a full head of hair, so.
Do me a favor, because we've heard, I don't know if you're familiar with a lot of the celebrities that have done it. We know guys on the as far as like R&B stars or rap stars or even some movie stars, namely Jamie Foxx. If you look, his hairline started back here, and then just recently it's all the way down right above his eyebrows. Akon got a terrible one. Tiger got one. So I want to know about how it fits. Can you kind of walk us through how it started? Like, okay, I'm booking my ticket, I'm booking my appointment. Like, how did it go from kind of start to finish? I'm very curious.
Well, the technology's changed. And so they used to move whole strips of hair or clumps of hair, or they'd implant fake hair, but the technology's changed to where they didn't have to take a big chunk. They actually, when I go over there and went over to Istanbul, walked down to this clinic, and they have now couple of thousand doctors that specialize in this, and Istanbul has become the center worldwide for hair transplantation because they've had these doctors competing against each other for 20 years. They're really good at it. They're better than America, Canada, a lot of other places, and they're 1/10 the cost. So I was like, I'm in.
Yeah,
so flew over there, stayed at a nice hotel, got to tour the city, bunch of restaurants. So still came back, paid for the whole procedure, still half price. But I walk in the clinic and they sit me down, they put anesthesia on top of my head, shave the other part of the head to, kind of not shaved all the way, but long enough to be able to cut it out. And what they use are little micro punches that take out one follicle at a time. And they sit there for 3 hours in the morning and they punch your head and cut, and they kind of scoop out one hair at a time. So an average head of hair will have 25, 35,000 heads of hair. Blondes have the most, redheads have the least. But so you got a lot to spare. So they took out 5,000 follicles from down here and even a few from under my chin. And they, in the afternoon, they planted them on top of my head. So there I was in three hours in the morning, they were taking them out. And I was under anesthesia. I mean, local. I was just sitting there listening to them talk the whole time. But it sounded like they were punching a melon, just like a little. And they were just going in and getting a little scoop and putting it down on a tray. And when I got up for lunch, I was like, those are all my hairs? And they said, those are your babies. And so in the afternoon, they just started planting them, 5,000 of them. And at 4:30 in the afternoon, they're like, you're done. That was it.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. Wow. Nobody's ever described it in detail, at least to me.
Yeah, so, the first time I've ever heard it.
Most people, they say it will fall out a little bit. There'll be so much trauma, the hair might fall out up here, but it'll start growing in 2 or 3 weeks later. They say, don't worry about it, your hair will fall out. Well, my hair never fell out. It just kept growing. I guess so anxious to get up there, wasn't going to quit when it got there. So
It's
they
been
just give
waiting.
you vitamins, and you know, you don't have to take all this medicine stuff. They just give you vitamins, and you just sit back and you can shampoo it after a couple of days, and just you go out in the world. And here was the most amazing thing. When I came back, I was like, I'm going to walk out. You know, it was start of COVID and stuff, so we were in for a lot. But when we finally got out in the spring and stuff, I was walking around like, people got to notice a change in me. And everybody looked at me, and they looked at me, and they're like, you look different. I'm like, yeah.
What
Like,
about me?
Did you get LASIK surgery? I'm like, no. Did you get you know, did you get a facelift? I'm like, no. So, do you lose a lot of weight? I'm like, no. I'm like, do you notice the hair on top of my head? They're like, oh. Like, dude, you look 20 years younger. I didn't know what you did. I'm like, they all thought it just looked so natural. I was like, come on. I always define myself as a bald guy. First thing I see it when I look in a photo is my bald head. Big, bright bulb, you know?
Mm.
And I thought everybody else, when they go in their computer in their head, they try to figure out, how do you identify this guy walking down the street? One of the first things they put in their little catalog was, this guy's bald. But when they saw me and I wasn't bald, they didn't say anything. They didn't notice. It was crazy.
Now saying that,
I
like,
can't
because these
even
guys
imagine
keep
bald.
asking me to do all these type of procedures, like, but it feels like a blow to my ego when they tell me, "Hey, go get that done." Did you feel like it was a small blow to your ego when your barber first introduced the idea of getting a transplant?
You know what? I was insecure all my life about the fact that I was losing my head. It was my hair. The one thing that bothered me about myself, you know, a couple of little things, of course. Always wanted to do this and do that. But the one thing that bothered me about me that I couldn't change was my hair. And it just bothered me. So when I found out I could do something about it, I was excited about it. And I actually, I went over at age 62. Most people do it between the highest percentage of people between 32 and 45 or 28. There are a lot of people 18 to 25 that do it, but not near as many in middle age. The percentage after age 62, 0%. But I went over at 62, and I'm kind of a sales job, so I fly around the country and I talk to people who own PR firms. That happens to be usually women in their 30s and 40s. So I was thinking in my mind, when I walk in the room to meet them for the first time, they think, old guy, bald guy. How quickly can I get him out of here? You know. And that was just my insecurity talking to me. But I was thinking, if I put some hair on top of my head, at least they would say, old guy, but they wouldn't say bald guy. But the funny thing is, everybody saw me and they said, dude, you look 20 years younger. It's so crazy. What happened to you? So now I'm out there. I have a lot more confidence. I just feel a lot better about myself. It's so crazy and so stupid, but it's true.
It is true, because you keep saying 60, you keep saying 62, and I'm like having a hard time visioning you
As soon as you
62.
said
I'm
that.
looking at you like, this guy's about 45, maybe 50. You keep saying 62, and there's no BS. I'm like, 62, like he looks a lot younger, and I can see where you coming from with that.
For sure.
Yeah, it's in my book. There's some photos of me all the way through my life, losing my hair, and then like every couple of weeks growing that back out. So it kind of tracks it. But you know, I might be able to show a photograph here. Let's see the guy over there.
Ooh, okay.
To the
over here.
yeah.
Wow.
That's a bald dude
wow.
right there. Right
All
there.
right, handsome guy, but
looking at that
like
picture,
that.
looking at that picture and looking at you now, it looks like you went back 20 years from now to when you got your hair. Damn, I didn't, maybe I might have to look into that procedure.
So I was like you. You said you walked into Home Depot. Every time I looked at a photo, people would say, "Oh yeah, that's a good photo." They would say they look good. I was like, I'm still bald, But every time I walked by a storefront, I'd look and be like, still bald. That's all I would think about. And I didn't like being in front of a mirror. I didn't like being it wasn't me. That wasn't the guy I thought I was going to be when I grew up. I thought I was going to have gray hair and stuff, but I thought I was going to have a lot of hair. So
yeah, I can understand.
Now I walk by a mirror or walk by a storefront or see photographs. And I'm like, yep, that's good.
Give it a little shake.
Yeah.
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 Blowing the wind.
It's like, oh, excuse me, I have to go do my hair.
It's
So
yeah.
you were speaking of going back to talk about your confidence, and I remember you saying it started like at a young age, like when you were like 7. You said you started seeing
grade.
it in
Seventh
seventh
grade.
grade. Sorry, 7th grade. I seen that you had graduated from the University of Virginia. How was it, achieving your goals, meeting women, and knowing that you had that confidence to kind of overcome and going into college? Was it bad at that time? And how did you like kind of overcome and figure
I
out
had
different ways and moves to get your girls and do your thing?
I had a widow's peak. So,
Ooh.
it was, you could see, as I used to, think my destiny was written on top of my head. You could tell all the other guys, had nice big old heads of hair and, or big afros or whatever they had. And then there was me with a little thin strip here. And then it kind of went back in the wings. It looked like, was it Eddie on Batman or something, the monster?
Oh.
And I was like, I gotta up my charm game because this hair thing ain't gonna make it for me. I gotta up my charm. So
Yeah.
I had to work on my stuff, work on my banter.
Yeah, they say it's like when you
Conversational
lose
piece.
one sense, other senses get stronger. It's like a blind man getting an amazing sense of smell. I'm serious. Just like any overweight guys. Overweight guys are usually going to be some of the funniest guys you know. Wink,
Yeah.
wink. You know what I mean?
Gotta be able to take their mind off of the one thing and put it on something else.
Nah, yeah, because when I ain't gonna lie, when I lost my hair, it was like I did not want to take pictures. I didn't want to see myself. It was like if my
Angry.
hair, yeah, my hair was angry. But if I grow my hair too long, it's like, oh, I gotta go shave my head because I like a bald head. If I let my hair grow any longer, I look like I'm 50 years old. Like I was just telling my fiance the other day, I forgot to shave my head and my beard just like grew crazy out of control. I'm like, I look like I'm 50. She was like, no, you don't. I said, I'm gonna go in this bathroom. I'm gonna lower this beard down. I'm gonna shave my head bald. And when she came out, she was like, yeah, you look a lot younger. I said, yeah, without having hair, without having a hair to match the face, it just, you can get old like that if you let your hair, if I let this grow out, because it's just nothing here. I just automatically turned to this old man, and I'm 39. I lost my hair. I started losing my hair at
About
28.
27 maybe.
Yeah, 27, 28.
Yep.
And
Around then, yeah.
yeah, I'm still young. Like, how I'm in my 20s. Like, I used to, at one point, I used to have hair down to here. I'm like, this humongous afro, and I used to make fun of the guy. I did.
Sorry.
I did have an afro. When I had my braids, I had an afro. I used to take my hair out, and I would make fun of my supervisor all the time because he was bald.
I'm only laughing because Cam started laughing.
Yeah, whatever. Well, yeah. Y'all listen, see, this is the stuff I go through right here. So I will always make fun of my supervisor because he was bald. Now he always say to me like, it's like your day will be coming soon. I'm like, yeah. I don't want to hear that stuff.
Paybacks are hell. In 1989, Michael Jordan shaved his head, and I was like, you can do that? You can shave your head and look good, look that good? It's like, well, you can shave your head, but you won't look that good. But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he's got. If you've seen that movie, when he was growing up and he was in the wrestling and different movies, he had a lot of hair, but he didn't like it. He hated his hair, and so he said he tweeted this. He said, "My hair, I hate my hair. It looks like a combination of a afro and a llama's ball sack."
What?
A llama's ball sack. And he says, I'm going to shave it. And he has shaved it ever since. He goes, I'm just getting rid of it. I'm going to look better without that hair. And,
Right.
Larry David from Seinfeld, he went up to get his first Emmy when he wrote that episode for Seinfeld about the contest. Remember the contest, the masturbation? And so they gave him an Emmy for it. And he went up there and everybody was clapping. And he was like, this is great. Thank you so much. But I'm still bald.
It's
Love
certain
Larry
guys that can get that look off. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. What's the guy from the karate, the martial art guy? He got like
Steven
what's it-
Seagal?
Not Steven. No, Steven Seagal needs to take that shit off the top of his head. I'm talking about the guy
He's
from
known for the
Death
ponytail.
Race. He had Death Race.
Oh,
you
Jason
talking about
Statham is
Jason
definitely. Yeah, he looks
Jason Statham.
amazing.
Vin Diesel.
He looks amazing with his bald
They
head.
got
Like
perfect bald heads.
like he got the perfect bald head. It's like
Well, he's handsome. It's different. Like
yeah, some guys
handsome
had
men
him.
can do that.
Also, you get scared. You know, if you decide to shave your hair, you really don't know what's under there. If you've had hair,
Oh no.
you decide to shave, and then when you get it, and then when you look in the mirror, you're like, oh man, my head is not even at all.
Like
Plus, you bump your head all the time. You get scabs and stuff, and you knock it on a door
Yeah.
frame, or you fall. You know, stuff comes out, hits you in the head from a tree or something. It just forms a scab if you don't have hair. So you got to be real sensitive about it. Wear a hat.
Yeah.
But most people don't talk about it, and they won't talk about it. Like Elon Musk, he had a thing, and he won't talk about it. Drew Brees, when he stopped being a quarterback and went into being an analyst, he moved some hair, and then
He had the Just for Men commercials, though, didn't he?
the other famous one is Joe Biden. He had it done like 35 years ago, and reporters kept asking him, "Did you get a hair transplant or something?" And he's like, "A guy's got to have a secret." So
Yeah, the beta version.
Guys don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, the beta version. It's something that
you
really
don't. Yeah, you don't want to talk. It's something that is not like I'm used to it now, but it's still something I don't want to talk about. It's like my daughter, she's in college. She always says, "Dad, I remember when you had this black, your hair was jet black, or you had waves." I'm like, "Thank you for reminding me of the good times." Where I look at old pictures, I'm like, "Damn." My youngest daughter like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "That's Daddy." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." "You had hair?" I said, "Yeah, I had hair."
Who's that good looking dude with Mom?
Yeah. Who's that? I'm
Another
like,
guy.
It's me. She was like, "You had hair, Dad?" I said, "Yeah, I had hair."
People are tight-lipped about the procedure, though, is what he's saying. Like people are like they don't want to discuss if they had the procedure, like guys like Jamie Foxx or even suspected Will Smith or like that. They really are hush hush about what they went. Or everybody except for a guy named Akon, who his looks really bad, so he tells everybody that he got a procedure done.
Well, you got to be careful because you can't joke about it. You mentioned you used to call your boss bald, but in May of this year, over in England, a guy won a lawsuit. His boss called him bald, but he called him something else and bald. Bald was the first word. The second word was a C, began with a C. Anyway, he called him bald. And so the guy sued him because he said, "You can't call me bald in the workplace because that only happens to men primarily. And so you're doing gender discrimination. You're doing sexual discrimination." And he filed a suit, and it went all the way through this board up to this labor board in England. And they pronounced on May 18th that you cannot call somebody bald in the workplace in England because it's sexual harassment.
What?
Damn.
Of course, all three judges were bald.
That's the way you do it.
They brought it. It hit home. It hit home for them.
They
Like, hold up. They did that for their
We got to fight for this guy. He's one of us. He's one of my people. All people don't talk about it, but we never say, "Dude, how long have you lost your hair?" They never say that. But they do walk up and they'll kind of have this little secret code, and they'll say, "I see you go to the same barber that I do." Like, yeah. So that's as close as they'll get to it.
So that's the only thing that's holding me back from that procedure is that right there is like, everybody sees me bald now. Then me coming back with a head full of hair and people like, "Did you get the procedure done?" I'm like, "Your cousin Dre, like he puts cream and everything in his hair to keep his hair. Like me and him got to a very big argument. I'm bald. And I said something to him about losing his hair. And he went ballistic on me. I'm like, bro, like I'm bald. It's like, yeah, I'm like, we're in the same boat. You're hanging on to it. I just let it go. I'm like, but I could get it. So Dre, sorry to cut you off, Dre. What you about to say?
I'm sorry. I was going to say, and then at what point did you decide that it was time to put all your experiences in your book? And can you actually talk about your book for a second?
Yeah, well,
for as long as you want. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I came back from Istanbul, and I was so shocked that nobody recognized what happened. And I was like, what? So then I would tell them, and the thing that was sort of interesting to them was that I got a hair transplant. They're like, oh, yeah, that's what it is. But then they would say, what? You went to Istanbul, Turkey to do it? I'm like, oh, yeah, that was the most interesting part. And so I would start telling stories about it. It basically costs between $1,000 and $2,000 over there, and it costs $10,000 to $12,000 over here or in Canada. And so, plus they've been doing it for longer. They're better at it. So I was just, I kept telling people about it. I'm like, I got to write this down. So I sat down and said, I'm going to write like a little magazine article. And then I started writing about it. Then I started talking about, oh, wait a minute, my girlfriends always used to have dads with no head. I was like, wait a minute. My first haircut I ever got was really funny. I'm going to write that one up. And then I started writing this thing, and I did the whole procedure, and I kind of did photographs in my book called Headscape. And so in Headscape, it's not really big. It's just 140 or 150 pages, but it has photographs in it that show me every few weeks and how my hair was growing out in different situations. And I realized in the process of writing what I just kept writing, it turned into a book. And so I said, I'm going to publish this book, and, it's going to be my way of, opening the conversation for men who are insecure about their hair, but maybe never talk about it. Certainly have never written a book about losing their hair, but maybe maybe this will help men, be able to talk about it and realize that for just a couple $1,000, you can fix this thing. I sat there for years and decades and kind of agonized about being a bald guy. And then I walked down to this little clinic in Istanbul and walked down the stairs. And then the first thing you see is a poster with a guy, a full cutout of a guy stand up, but he had 3 heads when he was bald, when it was grown in, and when he had a full head of hair. And the sign said, welcome to the the Fix Hair Clinic. And I thought, it was for them, it's so easy. They just sit there and crank out these hair transplantations. For them, your hair is broke, go fix it. If your bike is broke, go fix it. So your hair is broke, go fix it. For me, I sat there for years and agonized about it. And I walked down here, and one day I fixed it. It's crazy.
Jeez. And that's
for real.
No, listen, I'm listening to this story because I'm at that crossroad. Like, do I fix it or
what
do
will
I
push you
live
over the edge, though, Kev? What will push you over the edge? Seriously, have a real conversation. Seriously,
I'm like, I've gotten so used to it, but it's some days now, like my beard is turning white. Like, I'm saying to myself, like, if this goes white with this right here, I'm at 40, I'm going to be looking like I'm 50 and 60. If I start to look so old, I'm like, I got to get my hair back. I just want to, understand. Like I was explaining earlier in the podcast, I literally have dreams about my hair coming back. It was really a psychological trauma to me losing my hair as a man. It's like nature's way of telling you, hey, you're old, and I'm not that old. At 30, I'm bald. I cut my hair off. I'm bald at 30. I'm like, I'm really not that old. I'm not even in the prime yet. I'm just out of my 20s. So that was like difficult. If I get to the point where I'm like 45 and the gray is getting in real deep and I'm feeling low, I'm looking real old, I'm like, I'm just gonna get my hair back. It's like, hell what people say. I'm just gonna take the jokes because they're gonna come, because it's just the people I deal with. Jokes are gonna shut up. Y'all gonna have jokes every day. Y'all had a joke.
bro. If you get your hair back, I'm gonna congratulate you.
Yeah, why would we joke about you?
Because y'all guys, listen, Chris, they one time was doing something for the podcast promotion. We get so many subscribers, we're gonna make Kev get this fake toupee and get it all cut.
What's wrong with that?
I'm like, dude, it's not wrong. Y'all have y'all hair. So see to them, they have their hair.
I think I'm balding.
No, you're not.
On the top, yes, I am. You can't tell because I let it
gets
grow a little
thinner.
bit. It gets thinner.
But yeah,
That's why I hear this Istanbul. I'm ready to save me a good $7-8 grand.
It ain't even that. He said $2,000. You said $2,000, right?
Yeah,
back
save
then.
me a good $8.
I did it on Halloween 2019.
See,
so, okay.
And he said it costs around 10 grand here and 2 grand out there. So I'd save me 8 grand.
My barber, he just took 2 trips. He takes people over there from Atlanta, and he's flying another group over there in March. So he flies you over there. And for $7,000, you get airfare nonstop. You get a hotel, really good hotel, meals. You get front. He takes you to all the tourist spots and all the big.
It's a trip.
It's a
It's a
great
birthday
trip.
present.
And you get to, and it includes the surgery, 5,000 follicles of hair and $7,000, and you're back. And then in 6 to 8 months, you're looking fine.
Man,
You hear that, Kev?
I know. That's
Imagine Kev with waves again.
That's the inroad. But you
No, I
gotta
don't
say
want
that
to
is the
imagine him
inroad.
like that.
But that's the inroad I'm at right now. Why?
Because it ain't nothing gonna stop you. Kev gonna tell you he's 6'10". He got wave. Like he's just gonna be getting fly on everybody for no reason.
On everybody.
Listen,
everybody.
That's why I started working. That's
That's
why I work out the way I work out. I work
boxing again.
Yeah, I got back into working out because it's like
gonna magically work.
Top contender. He gonna out of nowhere. He gonna be big dog all over again.
See,
This
is the jokes I'm
These are
gonna
good
live.
things,
wait,
though.
no,
These are
these
not bad things.
Hold
These
on.
are good things.
We joke, but the main part of that, like the truth of that, is that confidence.
Exactly.
Confidence, which all this is based on. I don't care who you are. If you're losing your hair, if you get your hair back, that confidence comes back and you feel like yourself again. I don't care what anybody says.
And my thing is, you be doing it for you, just like Chris did it for him. It doesn't matter what a person says to you, but you're doing this for yourself. You can imagine yourself how you was. You want something for yourself. You're doing it for yourself. Who cares what anybody else is saying?
Because it took me 8. This is what I'm at. This is the point I'm at, Chris. It took me 8 years. I've been bald since 30. It took me 8 years to deal with this, with these guys' jokes and everybody ridicule, to deal with me being bald. Then I'm gonna have to probably suffer through another 8 years of like, hey, you got your hair back. What did you do to get your hair back?
You are a jokester, so people
Chris,
got to have fuel for you. You know this.
Can you tell him how it felt for you though? Like when people start, that's what, because I think you already went over it, but can you tell him literally
I'll tell you what, I felt so different. I walked into the house, I'd been over there for a few days. I came back in, I just had it was small hair they had transplanted, but I felt good. I walked in my house and I flipped on the light. It's like, said to my wife, Jan, I was like, look, and she was like, man, you look cool. I'm like, I know, I look like Bruce Willis. And she says, well, you don't look that cool. I was like, I feel good, and I feel, this is what I feel like. They talked about in the 60s and 70s, I'm going to go find myself. I feel like I found myself. I had lost myself. The top of my head had burned off, and now that I have this hair and I look at myself or I just touch it, I feel like this is me. This is the guy I was supposed to be. This is the guy I thought I would be. And that other guy, that guy I looked at every day in the mirror, I'm like, that ain't me. Why am I looking like that? And now I feel like this is me. It sounds vain. It sounds crazy, but it's just the truth. It's the bald truth.
And you probably thought to yourself, man, why did I wait till I was 60 something years old to decide to do this? You ain't 60 yet. You ain't 40 yet. So don't wait. He's giving you the keys to the kingdom.
I'm listening. You
got to save up for it.
And
that's
Chris,
all.
he knows how it feels to be bald. You were bald once, so you know how it feels. It's like after a point, you don't accept it, but you like, all right, this is me. This is just who I am. Like, I can't do anything. I can't change it. Like, all right, I'm okay. It's like, I like listening to your story makes me want to do it. I'm like, will I ever get enough courage to do it? That's the thing I think I need. I need the courage to say, you know what? I took the ridicule for the first 8 years. Like, is it going to be that bad? Or will people forget, like, hey, you were once bald, but now you got hair again? That's where I'm at, because it's not that bad. It's just in certain parts, it just won't grow. It's just very patchy.
Fix that.
You
get to go to Istanbul.
It's a great city. They have all these old walls around it that Constantine built in 800. But you go to Istanbul, which is a great city. It's divided. It's right on the border of Europe and Asia. And Turkish Airlines flies to three times more cities than any other airline. And they're bringing in all these patients. And what's amazing is you walk all over. It's a big, they call it medical tourism. It's a big thing over there in Istanbul. You walk around Istanbul and you see all these guys with really short hair, and they've just gotten the transplant. And So you go to the airport and there are all these people flying, you know, they have a brand new airport. It's gorgeous. Oh my God. And so that you walk around the airport, you see all these other guys with the same haircut you do, and they're from all over the world, different countries. And you may not speak the same language, but you kind of look at each other and look at the top of their head and you just kind of go, you know, you just nod your head because you all know that you all made the same decision, that you're going to fly over there and change how you look. And they were all getting ready to get on an airplane and fly back into their lives as a different person. And they were all going to feel really good about it. It's really an amazing kind of thing.
No, that's powerful.
It
I
is.
can only
Like,
imagine.
because it's like this episode was really touching me because this is like something near and dear to me. Like I may like put on this whole front, oh, I'm cool with the baldness, but I'm not. It's days that I'm not. It's days is like I'm not. It's like here I go. I gotta go in this bathroom. I gotta cut my hair off. I used to have beautiful hair. My daughter reminds me of beautiful hair. My younger kids remind me. What? I did have beautiful hair.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about Kev. I'm looking at his face. Let's go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt you.
You still have beautiful hair. And, you know, they can move it from under here. They can move it from your chest. They can move it from other places. But you have enough hair probably here that they move it up there. You wouldn't miss it over here. I thought I'd miss it over here, but I don't. It looks the same as it did before. And your daughter will go, that's my daddy.
There you go.
Jesus, man.
That would be dope. That would be dope.
Let me ask you a question. Can you, and we didn't prepare this question. I'm sorry. This is more of a newer segment. What is an unpopular opinion about, or an unpopular, untrue, you know, anything like that opinion about the hair procedure or hair loss that you would like to dispel or that you would like to discuss?
Everybody thinks it hurts. One guy says, man, that's close to your brain. Did you mess up your brain? I'm like, come on, dude, come on. No, you got a skull in between your hair and your brain. But everybody says, how much did it hurt? I'm like, I never felt anything. It was so crazy. And it was just kind of fun knowing that all this change was undergoing on my head and I couldn't feel anything. I just heard this little sound, bloop, 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 and everyone, all those years, I probably lost 18,000 hairs off the top of my head growing up, you know, over my life. And there they were moving 5,000 back up. Every time they went punch, punch, it was another hair going in. It never hurt. And it was like, they're putting years back on my life. And, you know, I might not live any longer, but I'm going to look younger the whole time I do. And I'm going to feel like myself. And I don't know. I do wish I'd done a lot earlier. I just, you know, I just kind of dismissed it as kind of silly. And I thought, oh, when would I do it? How would I do it? Everybody would joke with me or joke, you know, but I just realized it's all in my head. And it's me that's feeling this way. Why shouldn't I just change the way I feel about myself by changing the way I look? Exactly. And I don't care if anyone ever says anything, which mostly they didn't, which was weird. I'll know and I'll feel better about myself. And the crazy thing is, as silly a little thing as that was, and $7,000 to go over there and do it and come back, it's the best investment I ever made.
Damn. Look at that. See? Damn. I'm trying to tell you. Imagine you come back. Imagine Kev back with braids. Holy shit.
And I felt everything you just said, Chris. Like how you just say you felt that's the inroad I'm in right now. That is legit the inroad I'm in right now of making a decision or not. Like,
well, you're gonna die, but my barber's name is Kevin.
Look at that. This is destined to be. This is destined to be. We could have a full episode on that.
So he'll fly you over there. He's taking a group in March, and he'll take you all over Istanbul. And then you know, you go into the doctor. You fly in on Sunday. On Monday morning, you get the procedure, and then you know on Tuesday you're going around looking at all these incredible old places in Istanbul, the Hagia Sophia, and all these killer places. So you turn around, you go into restaurants. And then on Wednesday, they go just give your hair a wash in, make sure everything's fine. And then you fly out on Wednesday or Thursday. You come back here within 3 or 4 days. And so that's March, let's say. You go over there with Kevin and you come back. And then probably by September, you'll start having a good bit of hair. I went 365 days before I had a haircut, and it was long and kind of crazy. My wife said I was entering crazy old man territory. But I want to go for a whole year.
She was loving
I wanted to see what it looked like, and it was really it was fun to watch it, and then after that you're back on. You're 6 to 12 months later, you got a full head of hair like you used to have.
I love it.
I'm
I
excited.
love it.
Yeah,
Something that men needed to hear.
Yeah, I
That
love
would
it
be
too.
dope, Kev.
I wouldn't get my. Yeah, I wouldn't get my hair cut. I'd be scared to get my
just
hair
let it
cut.
all grow
I
out.
would just
And
let
see,
it.
let's see what happens.
I would be
Here's
like, I'm not cutting this off. I just got it back. Let me just
Let me see. You're
enjoy
gonna be
it.
just like him. You're gonna see what it's like to have a full head of hair. You're gonna see how long it can get. You're gonna mess around, try and get it braided.
No, I would never do
You
that
gonna be
again.
like,
I would
you gonna
never
be
do
back, yeah.
anything. I wouldn't do anything to pull or tug on my hair I just got. Let's just leave it alone. Like, just let me enjoy it.
Here's the beautiful thing about that, though, Kev, and this is all jokes aside. If you ever did get the procedure done, number one, even if I said, "Oh man, look like you got your hair back," that's probably as far as it can go. There's not a lot of jokes you can make about a man with hair, But the beautiful thing is, say if you ever decided to go bald again, you can just cut it off. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you don't have. You could choose between the two at that point.
No,
You know what I mean? Like,
never. If I got my hair back, I would
know that.
never go back to this. Never. Ain't even. This is not by choice right here. This is not by choice.
Well, the thing about it is, if you cut it off, you know that it's going to grow back because it came from the side.
Never in the if Chris, you probably felt the same way. Like, I did not want to touch the top of my head. I was like, did you feel that way?
Oh yeah, 9-10 months into it, people are like, dude, your hair. It's like, I'm like, don't touch my hair. And it was looking good, but finally, I promised my wife 365 days I would get it cut. And I went in there a year later, and Kevin cut my hair back, and it looked a lot better cut. But it was, it looked like my hair when I was 16 or 17 or 18, but gray. And that's exactly what I thought it would look like now, which I didn't. And I can't tell you how much different, just once you get your hair done, then you go on and worry about other stuff. Like now I'm like, hey, is this new hair making my butt look big, or what is going on? Maybe I'm gaining weight.
Right. You can focus on other things at that point, whatever gets your confidence up.
Yep. Check one
Fix
thing
the
off
hair.
the list. Now you go to the next thing.
Fix the hair and move on.
So Chris, any last things you want to tell us about the book? What? Wait. Okay. Go ahead.
So
no, you got to promote.
Headscape, and you can get it on Amazon. You can get it at my website, headscape.me, because it's all about me. And so the book kind of starts with my first haircut, my first barber, and some crazy things happen all the way through today, and how I felt about myself and how I came to, it's a psychological journey as well as a physical journey. And so I tried to make the book humorous. A lot of people said they read it, in 3 or 4 hours and had the best time. They started it like, I'm going to start this, and they can't put it down because it's funny. And I tried to make it funny because a lot of funny things happened to me with my hair. And so I just think we all have different things that we worry about ourselves, but what I found in all of that, it's crazy that you might change that and people may not notice it. And so you come to a realization that it's really kind of how you think about yourself and feel about yourself. And if one little thing can make yourself feel better about yourself, then why not go and do it?
That's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so where can everybody find you and your book?
So I did a few blogs. I wrote a few blogs about hair on headscape.me. You can see me there. You can also see me. I wrote a bunch of columns back in the old days at chrisschroder.com. And then I write now for a lot of newsletters around the country, the Atlanta 100 and different. We have 100-word articles in our newsletter. So I'm writing all the time. I just never wrote anything longer than a magazine article. And now I've finally written a book. So, if I hadn't have changed my hair, I wouldn't have written a book.
Absolutely.
It gave me confidence to write my book. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The other crazy thing, I'll tell you if we have time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
when I did selfies, I was always cutting my head off. I didn't want to look at myself in photographs. And so when you come back, the doctor, he wants photographs twice a day. Send me photographs. Send me a photograph. He wants to look at how it's growing. He wants to see if it's, getting irritated or anything. So I was having to take these photographs myself, which I hated. And, but I noticed after about 2 or 3 weeks, I was sitting there taking pictures of myself, and I started looking at myself, and I said, there's a little growth right here on my shoulder. And I went back and looked at the earlier photographs from 3 weeks earlier, and I didn't have that little spot. I'm like, what is that? So I sent the photographs to my general practitioner, and he said, dude, go to the dermatologist tomorrow. So I'm like, okay. So I went in there, and they diagnosed it, and it was melanoma. And so then when I was sitting there telling them, I said, I've got this freckle on my nose I used to worry about all the time because I got it 30 years ago. And it changes color. And she said, go get that. And so they went in there, they analyzed that, and they found melanoma here and there. If I hadn't gotten my hair transplant, I wouldn't have been looking at photographs of myself, and I would have never have noticed that spot, and I would have not caught the melanoma. And so I kind of say, because I went through this hair transplant, I actually saved my life.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's powerful.
That's insane. I'm sorry, I'm noting that because that's huge.
Jeez.
And so I just kind of feel like I was sitting there thinking I was going to mess with Mother Nature, and God had made me a bald person. And here I am messing with Mother Nature, putting it back up there and changing the way things should be. You think about all that crazy stuff when you're bald. And but the fact of the matter is, if I hadn't gone ahead and done it and listened to my barber, who flew over there with me, and listened to my wife and just made the courage to do it, in my case, I after they tore up my nose to get the cancer out, they put it all back. But I was like, see, God gets the last laugh, because here I am trying to make sure I look good in my head on my hair. And then he's going to come in there and say, I got you. I'm going to get your nose this time. But
got your nose.
Got your nose. But they fixed my nose. They fixed my hair. And now I look like the guy I should be. So whenever I have photographs of my grandkids in my arms, that's the guy I thought it was going to look like.
Man,
amazing.
That's deep.
Amazing. I love that.
Men
need to have more of these conversations.
Yeah, we do, man, because
Yes.
I think this is every man's nightmare, but this is also like when it happens to you, this is like, this right here just takes so much out of you as a man. It kills your masculinity somehow, in some way, man. It doesn't make you feel like I'm this strong, healthy, young, vibrant man. It's like, no, I'm starting to get old and I'm decrepit. It's like, but it's not the case, man.
I used to joke that testosterone, it was too much testosterone. It just kind of blew out my hair. I'm full of testosterone. That was my line.
Mm-hmm.
And, but the fact of the matter is, it was testosterone reacting with this one chemical in the hair follicle that the DNA set up in our heads. And so if you change the DNA by moving the hair that doesn't have it up there, it doesn't react like that. So it is testosterone, but not in the way that we always used to say.
Damn.
Wow.
Jesus.
All right.
Anyway, Kevin, let me introduce you to Kevin, and Kevin, we'll all go over to Istanbul. How about that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about doing it, man. You got it. You give me a chance. Send me. You have our email address. Definitely send it, because
Get it done before it starts.
That'd be great. Love to see it.
start.
Yeah,
Start. What you mean start? It's at its ending phase right here.
I'm talking about for me, not for you. We know for you. You get it.
It start. It's been started a long time ago. It's
I'm
done.
talking about for myself, fool.
You're not losing. Look at this
right in
luscious
the
hair
front.
that this man has.
Once I get my low cut, you can tell the back is darker and the front is lighter. I gotta get taken care of.
You know your own scalp, and you know when things. I told y'all before, like, when it's kind of back before more than it's. You know what I mean? All men go through this. I don't care who you are. Like, you go through it, and but we discussed that already.
Yeah.
So do you guys got anything else?
Oh,
Wow, great episode.
thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank
loved
you,
it.
guys.
Me personally, thank you, because somebody who understands what I'm going through on the day-to-day, I appreciate it.
Gotta get that information.
I feel it, man. It's and the thing is, it's these days, modern technology, easily fixable. So I wish you well. Thank you so much for talking to me about it.
No, we
Thank you for
appreciate you,
taking the
Chris.
time to talk to us.
Definitely. What's the name of that book again?
Headscape, HEADSCAPE, and headscape.me. Thank you.
There we go.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right,
Looking
listeners,
good.
hope you enjoyed this episode.
This is where we cut it off.
Yeah, don't say
All right.
peace.
Don't
didn't
say.
say peace.
Don't worry. I edit all this.